This is Amit, and we are live from Mushroom City of India, Solon. Continuing with North meets South, I bring to you today Mr. Kalmit Kahavata, Senior Relationship Manager, Project Finance Division, and Sector Specialist for Energy Sector at National Development Bank at Sri Lanka. Welcome, Kalmit.
Thank you, Amit.
Uh, Kalmit, could you tell us about National Development Bank? That why is it the most preferred bank on renewable energy projects?
Yes, Amit. Actually, we have a long history. We actually started banking in 1979, and I would say we are one of the pioneering banks in Sri Lanka when it comes to renewable energy. From early 2000s, when that was the starting point of renewable energy sector development in Sri Lanka, NDB has been at the forefront, giving our financial services for the developers. So over the years, we have uh, basically financed uh, several types of renewable energy projects, and we have a set of team who are well conversant with the industry. So I would say we are a preferred bank when it comes to renewable energy development.
Probably that's the reason why we are working with National Development Bank. We've had the owners of National Development Bank at our renewable energy growth forums right from beginning. Now we are going with the fourth edition on 10th and 11th of March, and we are again, happy to have National Development Bank to be part of the knowledge forums. Thank you so much.
Thank
So,
you, Amit.
Kalmit, not taking much of time, I would jump onto the questions which I have in mind for you and for National Development Bank. Now, Kalmit, Sri Lanka has set a target to achieve 70% energy requirement from renewable energy by 2030. How does NDB plan to support this vision?
Well, yeah, it's we would have to say that it's a very tall task, moving from 40% currently to 70% by 2030. Now, uh, we have to think in the context that most of Sri Lanka's major hydro power potential has been already tapped, and we have to develop from other renewable sources like wind and solar mainly. So it's a quite a tall task, and uh, the current megawatts, total megawatts in renewable energy is uh, close to 2,500 megawatts. Now that will have to be increased to increased by 7,500 megawatts over a period of 9 years. So that would mean the country will have to basically develop more than 800 megawatts of capacity each year. So as a bank who are a pioneering bank when it comes to renewable energy, we are geared to support the promoters in Sri Lanka by giving our financial expertise to evaluate projects in a swift, in a faster manner, so that the projects can start work soon. And we are also dealing with the other banks in Sri Lanka, not only in Sri Lankan banks, but the regional banks, so that I would say we are one of the main banks in Sri Lanka, or probably the main bank in Sri Lanka when it comes to leading syndications. So definitely this type of magnitude of projects being developed would require foreign funding, foreign investments also. So there may be chances that Sri Lanka NDB would be able to finance some of the projects on our own, because we have now grown to be Sri Lanka's fourth largest private bank, and uh, uh, for medium-sized projects, we will be able to lead syndications within Sri Lankan bank. But for larger projects like more than 150 megawatts, we would be able to arrange syndications together with Sri Lankan banks, also with regional banks. So we have expertise on that also in dealing with regional banks. So we are geared to support the Sri Lankan renewable sector development to meet this 2030 70% target.
Great. We're looking forward to that, Kalmat. So, Kalmat, how do you foresee investments coming from the foreign players in the country Ireland, especially after pandemic? Do you have any attractive schemes?
Well, recently Sri Lanka you know, plotted a request for proposals. Basically, it was done through the Ministry of Renewable Energy and Sustainable Energy Authority. Uh, so the basically it called for potential investors who will be willing to develop renewable energy projects in Sri Lanka, and the minimum size of the projects were 50 megawatts. So in Sri Lankan context, it's a large chunk of capacity. So we are happy to say that we have seen so much of interest from foreign renewable energy developers from countries such as India, China, Japan, and some of the North American countries have also shown very keen interest in make developing renewable energy projects in Sri Lanka. So that is very uh, supportive for the country at the moment that we are seeing so much of foreign interest. So definitely foreign interest is there, and as a country, the we are also looking at foreign direct investments to come in. As you probably know, that Sri Lanka is currently facing somewhat kind of a crisis situation on when it comes to foreign currency. So Sri Lanka is in need of foreign direct investment, and renewable energy sector is one of the main sectors that will draw foreign investments to Sri Lanka because of the largely available, well, I mean, I would say very good solar and wind resources are there in Sri Lanka. So there will be interest. We have already seen it, and when it comes to schemes, Sri Lanka is actually trying to get more FDIs into the country. So there is a board of investment that is long established and has very good mechanisms and systems in place in onboarding foreign investment. So that is tested, and for it is a very easy process that a foreign investor would have to follow in investing in Sri Lanka. And also we are also trying to get low cost funding as well, so that the foreign investors who are coming, they will put their equity part. Definitely when it comes to the debt sourcing, they will be able to get some low cost funding as well. So NDB is currently looking at getting low cost funding for renewable energy, and we are hopeful of getting one very soon. So things are moving in the right direction to support the Sri Lankan industry to grow with the foreign investors.
Great, great. Thank you. So, Kalmat, can you advise our audience more about project financing benefits?
Yeah, sure. Actually, I am attached to the project financing division at NDB Bank. So I know, compared to conventional lending, project financing is giving so much of benefits for the promoters, because one of the main benefits I would say is that it is the projects are considered on standalone basis, so that the more flexibility is there for the project to source funding, and it gives more chances to raise debt compared to a traditional commercial banding or corporate financing arrangement. And also the reasons for going for project financing, I would say, is that the collateral. Now, if for a project, for a project financing setup, the collateral is the project assets itself. So we are only uh, uh, looking at the cash flows of the project being sufficient enough to service the debt and provide the required equity returns for the promoter. So in project financing setup, it is very much easier for the promoters also to plan their equity IRRs, and from the bank's perspective, uh, when we are doing a project financing deal, we go into so much of detail on the project's cash flows. I mean, the plant factors, how it will get compared with the previous averages, any location specific things that we need to factor in. So those kind of things are factored in when we are doing the financial modeling, so that investors and as well as the banks are very much comfortable about the future outcome of the project, so that both parties can do the financing in a methodical manner, so that projects cost overruns and time overruns will be mitigated to a greater extent. So I would say project financing will give all array of benefits for the promoters as well as the bank. And
Thanks.
for renewable energy projects, I think it is the most preferred way of financing.
It is. It is. It is. So, Kalmit, what is your message through NDB for companies which are looking at Sri Lanka as a business destination?
Well, Sri Lanka is now, I would have to, I mean, let me first talk about the renewable energy sector for a party who is interested in investing in Sri Lanka. We are seeing a strong government support for the development of renewable energy. You asked me over the past few years, over the past decade, uh, there have been a very slow progress on getting the approvals, these environmental approvals and all the government approvals on land clearances. Those things are getting delayed. So that has been a reason for the slow development in the sector. So with the establishment of a renewable energy ministry dedicated to renewable energy, we are having some confidence that in future these approvals will be issued for the developers in a much swifter manner, so that they can develop additional capacity to the grid. So and also as a bank, the not only NDB Bank, I would have to say, most of the banks in commercial banks in Sri Lanka are now very much conversant with the project financing arrangement when it comes to foreign investors are there in the funding. So I mean, as a bank, NDB had always been sharing our local experiences with the foreign investors, so that they get more comfortable in Sri Lanka in dealing with Sri Lankan realities. So that is that is there, and I would also have to say that Sri Lanka has a large set of experts or intellectual capacity developed when it comes to renewable energy. Uh, as you might probably know, that most of our Sri Lankan energy companies are now going out of Sri Lanka and developing renewable energy projects in other continents like Africa and East Asia,
Right.
Southeast Asia. So there is a lot of tacit knowledge being developed in Sri Lanka in renewable energy. So the investors who are coming in will have the necessary skill set, to in managing renewable energy projects in Sri Lanka. So they can be very much comfortable. So that's the main idea that I wanted to give. As a country, also Sri Lanka is going on a trajectory of growth with the financial hub going to be developed in the port city Colombo, which has now opened. The first stage has been opened. And there are so many other developments happening in the country. So we are comfortable. We are hopeful that the international community will be interested in Sri Lanka as a business destination. And recently, there was news that a set of Danish investors who have basically given their agreement to invest in renewable energy projects in Sri Lanka. So things are positive, things are there. So we are hopeful of getting a lot more foreign investments to the country.
Great, great. That's a good news. Now with the Ministry of Renewable Energy setting up the pace and getting that ease of doing business for the foreign investors, I'm sure a lot of foreign investors would be looking out for Sri Lanka as a destination for investment to renewable energy. So all the best for that, Kalmit. So Kalmit, final question maybe. What makes NDB the best bank in Sri Lanka for financing of renewable energy projects?
Yeah, Amit, actually we started in 1979 as a development bank. And with NDB is one of the first banks to support Sri Lankan renewable energy sector. We have already taken the risk when it comes to novel technologies to Sri Lankan context, and we have been there with the promoters in developing their projects. So to name a few, actually we can say that Sri Lanka NDB was among the first few banks to finance the first ever wind power project in Sri Lanka. NDB also funded the first commercial scale biomass power station in Sri Lanka. And we were also the first bank in Sri Lanka to fund an overseas project on its own merits, basically in pure project financing sense, in an overseas country. So, and also we have been the bank for leading syndications, and we were the bank to lead a syndication where Sri Lankan banks, set of Sri Lankan banks, were involved in developing a renewable project in a overseas country in East African region. So we would say that the most of the renewable energy promoters in Sri Lanka and the investors who are willing to come to Sri Lanka for renewable energy development see NDB as a pioneer in the industry, and we have a strong set of tacit knowledge developed in-house. With our legal teams, we have been able to develop new models to Sri Lanka. We are proud to say that the third-party rooftop solar financing arrangement was actually developed in-house at NDB, which is now widely used among all the banks, all the main banks in Sri Lanka. So, and over the years, we have given our support to develop more than 25% of the total renewable energy capacity in Sri Lanka. So over the years, we have funded 98 renewable energy projects, totaling to 257 megawatts of capacity. So I think the numbers says that NDB is the most preferred bank for renewable energy because we understand the industry and we have been very helpful for the promoters.
Thank you so much, Kalmat. I think that's the reason that why we are associated with the National Development Bank for all these years as well. In fact, I would again like to thank you and National Development Bank for being part of the program. And I would also like to invite all our audience who would be watching this, series of RE Master Talks over the period of time, that we are back in Sri Lanka on 10th and 11th of March with the Renewable Energy Growth Forum. This will be the fourth edition. The Honorable Minister would be chairing the session, the opening ceremony, and we have series of sessions which are based on to renewable energy and how people can actually partake into it and get the best of ideas, opportunities, and can connect and form associations to be part of the renewable energy growth for growth of Sri Lanka. Thank you so much, Kalmat, and it was a pleasure having
My,
you here. Yeah.
my
And
and thank you very much.
we look forward to seeing you on 10th, 11th of March, along with the rest of team of National Development Bank.
Okay.